What's going on, everyone? It's always good to see a Laker player putting time in the lab, working on his craft, trying to improve, and getting ready for the upcoming season. Obviously, I'm sure all of the Lakers are doing it, but when you actually get to see some footage and actually get to see a player in these various places, right? Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt working hard in Japan, working away with Phil Handy, and now we have Gabe Vincent, who is working in Barcelona, Spain. And he has been grinding away, working on his shot, working on his game, which is going to be important, right? Because, yes, he is a point guard, but kind of in the scope of Dennis Schroeder, where Dennis Schroeder is a point guard, but he's kind of more drive and kick. He's kind of more of he doesn't have the vision that you necessarily want for a point guard, where Gabe Vincent is kind of like that. He has his moments, don't get me wrong. He can make some plays, no doubt about it. But he is really good in that spot up shooting area. Although he had a rough shooting season last year, he did pick it up in the playoffs. So that's always good for the Lakers. Having guys that aren't afraid of the moment, having guys that have experience, working hard, playing hard in the playoffs, guys that can step up big and kind of elevate and improve their game. Think of like Rui Hachimura. That would be massive for the Lakers with Gabe Vincent, a guy that could be a legit 3-and-D guard that has pretty good size, pretty good length, and can guard multiple players, multiple positions, can play multiple positions. I could see him playing off the ball a lot. My guess is he's not going to be running the show a lot. I think it'll be more like they'll put Reeves and him together. They'll put D'Lo and him together, LeBron and him together. And he is the prototypical point guard for LeBron James. It's one of the reasons that there's been a big argument of who should start. Should D'Lo start or should they go with Gabe Vincent? Gabe Vincent's a guy, started for the Miami Heat at point guard. Again, he is the prototypical type guard, point guard, that plays alongside LeBron James. You know, think of Norris Cole, Mario Chalmers, George Hill, guys like that can get after it on the defensive end, but also knock down the shot, play off the ball, which Gabe Vincent is more than capable of doing that. And D'Lo was great off the ball for the Lakers last year, and he is a much better playmaker. He's really good at just getting other guys involved. He was also one of the players that was most willing in trying to get AD the ball, and the D'Lo Anthony Davis pick and roll was one of the best plays in all of basketball. So I imagine as they continue this training camp, this offseason, working on that and working on their chemistry, I imagine that D'Lo and him, it continues to be just an even better play. But D'Lo, for all intents and purpose, I fully expect to start. I fully believe that he will start. Could there be certain matchups or something? Maybe. But my guess is that Darvin Ham will want to keep some cohesiveness, although maybe early on we see a couple tweaks, right? There's talks about Jackson Hayes starting at the center position alongside Anthony Davis. I could see something like that happening. Maybe you start Gabe Vincent in one of those spots, right? And see how it looks. How does it look with D'Lo, Reeves, Vando, or Rui, or whomever, and then Hayes and Anthony Davis, and then try it with, like, what does it look like with Gabe Vincent in place of D'Angelo Russell? What does it look like with Rui in place of Vando, or Vando in place of Rui? That's kind of my guess, especially early on, right? Because that's kind of when you want to start working and testing things, right? You want to kind of like see, okay, what does this unit look like? What does that unit look like? Kind of build that idea and rapport leading into kind of that back half of the season, post-trade deadline. Although it's not really a back half, but that's usually when teams are really ramping up. Teams are really starting to look at what is our core sort of 8 to 10 guys that we're going to use and lean heavy on going into the playoffs. It's also good to have just the depth that this Lakers team has, because you have so many arguments for guys that could start in different lineup matchups, and guys getting the night off, and guys keeping minutes low, and guys also being able to on any given moment can step in and really play a role. I could also see something along the lines of like D'Lo starting, and then maybe they close with Gabe Vincent, right? Because like you saw Darvin Ham really like to close with Dennis Schroeder because he's a really good point of attack, just defensive guard that can get after it. Gabe Vincent provides a lot of that. Personally, to me, Gabe Vincent doesn't necessarily have the upside that Dennis Schroeder has. Like when Dennis Schroeder was on and he was money, that dude was, 20-point-a-game guy. Gabe Vincent, I'm not saying he's not capable of going and getting 20 on a night, but he's a little more consistent in what he does, right? He's also the better shooter. So my guess is that they kind of use him off the ball more. It doesn't mean that he won't be making plays. That doesn't mean he won't be driving and kicking. That doesn't mean he won't be doing, a lot of the stuff that Dennis Schroeder was doing for the Lakers last year. But I do think the Lakers really want to have Austin Reeves kind of operate as the point guard more this year and kind of embrace him as the playmaker. And if that's the case, then you'd imagine that Gabe Vincent's going to play off the ball more. And the fact that he's been working on his shot, he's been working in the lab hard, it's great to see because we need him to get back to that ideal 38 to 40% three-point shooter. He was 40, I think he was 44% on spot-up threes, which is good. I know he was in the 40s. The number might be a little high, but he was in the 40s for spot-up threes, which he's probably going to get a lot of them, right? With Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell and LeBron James and Anthony Davis. The difference between the Lakers and the Heat is the Lakers have more guys that can suck in the defense, right? And it's not a slight against the Miami Heat, but you saw at times where teams were okay with just letting Jimmy go one-on-one, letting Bam go one-on-one. Now, late in games, down the stretch, whatever, teams would trap Jimmy Butler or trap Bam Adebayo when he was going. But you saw even Denver. Denver was totally okay with Bam going off for 20 or 30. They weren't okay with Anthony Davis doing that, right? They were doing everything they could to slow him down. And you have a guy in AD, you have a guy in LeBron James, Austin Reeves, and even D'Lo is really good at just finding his way into the lane, pulling up for that mid-range, kind of sucking in the defense. So my guess is that Gabe Vincent is going to get a lot of spot up, a lot of catch and shoot threes, and he needs to be efficient and effective in that because I do think he's a guy that you can plug in pretty much any lineup, regardless of what it is. You could put him in a small ball lineup. You could put him in a bigger lineup. You could have him start. You could have him come off the bench. You could have him play next to D'Lo, play next to Reeves, play next to both of them if you need to, depending on what the matchup is, right? Like if you're going up against the Warriors and they're running 4 guards, you can keep some size and have Gabe Vincent kind of chase around guys and maybe be effective. But regardless, it shows the just versatility of this Lakers roster. And that's what's great. That's what I love about this Lakers roster is that on any given night you have several guys that could just beat you, several guys that could pitch in. And I'm not expecting Gabe Vincent to come in and be a 15 to 20 point a game guy, nothing like that. My guess is he's probably around 9 to 10 points per game, but that's fine. That's all you need coming off the bench, be able to knock down the shot, play some hard-nosed defense, get after it, do the hustle plays, do the dirty work, sacrifice your body. You need those guys if you're going to win an NBA championship. And Gabe Vincent fits that role, I think, beautifully. And I do think, again, I think he'll be a better natural fit than Dennis Schroeder was. And I also think consistency-wise, I think he'll be really good and be better than Schroeder was, right? Schroeder, again, when he was on, he was great. I mean, look at that Minnesota game, right? I mean, he saved us. Otherwise, we're going to another play-in game. His upside was just great, right? When Dennis Schroeder had it going, that dude was tough. But you'd see he'd have a game where he'd give you 25. And then the next game, he'd give you a goose egg, or he'd give you 5 points, and he'd be 2 of 12 from the field or something like that. I think Gabe Vincent, he'll be like clockwork, where he's going to give you 8 to 10 points a game in and game out. He's going to knock down shots. Everyone has off games. Everyone has bad games. But I think for the most part, again, his upside, I don't think is as high as Dennis Schroeder. but I do think the consistency line of him, like he's gonna have like his bad games will still be like 8 points, but his really good games will be like 15 to 20 points, right? He just has it going, shots falling, feed the hot hand, let him go to work, closing out games, stuff like that. So I'm excited. It's great to see that. It's great to see guys just working in the lab and just working on their craft, right? Because we're going to need it. We're going to need it all hands on deck and try to push for this NBA championship. So I'm pumped. And not just that, but Gabe Vincent's one of the guys that we got long-term. Not like super long-term, but we got him in the next 3 years, right? So you want him to continue to improve and continue to get better. And him being an undrafted free agent and having to scratch and claw and climb to get to the point that he got to with Miami, I'm glad to see that he's like, all right, I got my bag, I got my money. It's nice to see like, nah, like we got work to do. Let's get it. So anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? You pumped for Gabe Vincent? What do you think he should start? Think he should come off the bench? Do you think no, start D'Lo but close with Vincent? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the